to another serger tip clip. Well, I had so many questions and comments about the last two tip clips that I did on the rolled hem stitch that I thought I would do a third one to answer the final question. And that was about how to finish a rolled hem in the round, meaning if you're going around the edge of a circle, maybe even like on a skirt, a tunic, a sleeve, whatever. And so I've got a fun little tip for you on that. It's not hard to do. And I think you'll like seeing that so that you don't get that weird little point as you go off the fabric edge at the end of your circle. So let's go to the machine and see how to do that. I'm set up at the machine, and you can see I've got my wash away stabilizer on top, and I've got it anchored with the needle into the fabric so it doesn't move. And I have my settings for the right needle and upper looper. They're on the default tension setting of 4. The lower looper I raised to 7 because I like the way that setting looks. The default setting is a little bit lower. I have my stitch length on 1.2. It's a short stitch for a rolled hem for good coverage. I have woolly polyester in the right needle. I use the Soft Lock by Wonderfill, which I love. And I have my differential feed up slightly to 1.2 because when you're going around a curve, it's easy to stretch the edge inside or outside. And if I get any drawing in or cupping of that edge, when I go to press the fabric with steam, that will flatten out, but I won't have a stretched or wavy edge either. So I'm going to start stitching and go around, and then I'm going to show you my trick at the end. And you'll notice how I try to keep the arc of the circle straight in front of the foot. And as I'm moving it, if I'm stitching and the fabric is moving, it's like driving a car and backing out of a parking spot. It's easier to move the wheel if the car is moving, and it's easier to move the fabric if it's stitching along. I'm going to grab another piece of stabilizer to add on. I'm getting close to the end of this one. Just tuck this in under the other piece. And I'm getting to the end of this piece, so I've got one more teeny little scrap. That's a great way to use up your scraps of stabilizer, believe me. Okay, I have my beginning threads right here. So I am just going to continue stitching, and then I'll show you what I do for an adjustment. I'm going to let the knife trim that off. And I'm just stitching slowly to see how far away from those beginning stitches I am. And let me just show you something cool I can do with this machine. I can actually pivot the foot out of the way and see that I have maybe a little over a half an inch more to go before the stitches meet each other. So let me put my presser foot back down. And I'm just like a couple of stitches away. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lengthen my stitch from 1.2 up to 1.7. And I'm going to overlap those first few stitches, but it won't be bulky because I have lengthened that stitch. Maybe I'll bring it up to 1.8 actually, because I've already got good coverage with the first round of stitching. So let's stitch over that and see what we have. and I've gone just probably about 1/4 of an inch over those beginning stitches. Let me take one more. And now I'm going to raise that presser foot, move it and pivot it away from the needle because I don't want that off-ramp look on my stitching. And just chain off. And let's take a look at what it looks like. Now, I still have my stabilizer in there, and I've got to give that a little bit better trim. But you can see it looks really good. This is where I finished and overlapped. But by lengthening out those stitches, I don't have that bulky look at the end. So I'm going to take the stabilizer off of this, give it a press, and we'll look at the whole edge. Here's where I started and stopped, and you can see how nice and smooth that looks without a lot of bulk. So what I would suggest is do an experiment or do a sample piece with that stitch length and find out what works well for the type of thread that you're using on your project. But I think that looks pretty darn good. And again, with that stabilizer, well, it's gone now, but you can see how beautiful. Not one tiny bit of serge or stubble going around this whole edge. So it works well, and I hope you try it and let me know how you do. Thanks for joining me today, and if you have any questions or comments, send them along. Thanks for subscribing to my YouTube channel, and happy sewing and serging. See you again soon.